The lesson.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day, there was a gig, like Madcap was putting on a lot of gigs. And like he got smacked out at one of his own gigs.
I was DJing at the time there as well.
And did you see what happened or know what the whole thing behind that was?
Not entirely, no. Madcap kind of kept it pretty tight as well. We had some beef with a few riders and stuff like that as well. And, he'd been running his mouth, I think. And, he basically got cleaned up one night, you know what I mean? Like he was on the balcony. It was like the old comedy club, like near Jive. It was before Jive became Jive.
Yeah, okay.
It was some other gig. I can't remember what it was called. I was on stage at the time spinning records or whatever, and yeah, he got fucking jumped, man, and they fucking put him in hospital, man. They fucking got shit laid out of him, and he to the point where he bailed. That was it for him with hip hop. He just said, "Fuck it, I'm not putting on gigs and not doing nothing," and he just disappeared for years after that.
And then he briefly re-emerged like a few years later.
Yeah, now he's OS now.
Yeah.
I think he's obviously got paid to do some software stuff because he's a bit of a software engineer or something like that. He's over, I think, in Kuala Lumpur or something. I'm not quite sure where he is now.
Philippines, I think.
Yeah, right. I know he's DJing still. I still see him popping up on the Facebook. I think he's having a ball.
How funny are his pictures?
Yeah,
man.
I know. Yeah.
Madcap, if you're watching this, shout outs to your fucking Facebook game, man.
Yeah, man. I got a lot of history of Madcap, man. He was the sole reason why I got into it. Really, at the end of the day, it was him, his influence, man. So props to him, man.
Yeah, because he did a lot for hip hop.
Dude, he was and he was an incredible DJ too, man. He was dope as, man. His cuts and everything. I was like, oh, fucking only, and his depth of record knowledge as well was pretty good, man. So he'd know his breaks and he'd know he knew his shit,
And he was copping a lot of that shit as it was coming from the States and then just putting it straight on radio here, huh?
Yeah, and that was a good thing back then as well. We were breaking the records, you know what I mean? It's not like nowadays. So like the records would come and they'd hit central stations. Basically, I'd have first dibs on most of them, you know what I mean? I'd come into centrals and he'd have a stack of records maybe that thick for me. I've just put all these aside for you, just have a listen to these. And this is the time when Raucous was popping off, and you know what I mean? I was like, you can't think about it, the first time you picked up all these records, you're giving them a shot, and they're classics now. But you know what I mean? You put them on the record, and you're just like, listen, and I'd walk out of there with a wad, and this is like 2 or 3 times a week. I don't know how much money I dropped in that store, man. It was quite amazing how much money I spent in there. I don't even know how I got that much money. So, and we would then go and play them on out in the clubs or on radio, and no one had heard them yet. So we were breaking these records. We got a chance to we're pushing the records that we want everyone to hear and to like, and you know what I mean? Whereas totally different nowadays. You can't do that.
No.
Everyone's heard it at the same time.
Culture Kings won.
Yep.
In Adelaide.
Yep.
Now, that was a gig that I remember I could have gone to, and I don't remember why I didn't. Maybe money or I had some other shit on.
Proscenium, I think.
And I didn't make it, but I heard that was a cracker.
That was a cracker. That was a real cracker because that was the first time that big crowds had rolled out. Very similar crowds to the international crowd. These are the same people that would roll to every gig type of thing. You kind of knew the crowd, you know what I'm saying? And the same kind of crowd rolled to an Australian gig, you know what I mean? And it wasn't just them putting up with who's on stage. It was vibing off of what was on stage. That was an incredible gig, man. Yeah, I think it was a Proscenium, I'm pretty sure. And that was the time when I remember Night the Heavens Cried or whatever. Simo and that dropped that track or whatever, and Jody got up and sung that or whatever, and that was fucking one of the moments of the night, that particular track. Everyone just was like fucking blown away.
Yeah, wow.
That was full on time, and that was the first time I heard that track live as such. It was just that was sick. It wasn't. No one was prepared for it,
Yeah.
That was the highlight. That track on that night, man.
Yeah, shout outs to Terra Firma, man. Like they were really doing their thing at one point.
Oh yeah, dude. They killed it that night. They killed it that night. They had one of the best sets.
The lesson.
927.